What's up, vapors? Thanks for checking out Daily Vape TV. My name is Nick, and welcome to episode 26 of my Let's Vape vlog series, where we talk about a whole bunch of topics affecting the industry. We've got a lot on the menu for today. We're going to start it off with some rapid-fire advocacy. A lot has been going on in that world. Then we're going to talk about what I've been vaping on. I've also got a beer segment lined up for you guys today, and we're going to finish it off with some first impressions. I've got a few products that we're going to be taking a look at here. So I hope you guys enjoy. Grab a beer, grab a comfy chair, grab your favorite vape, sit back, relax, and let's vape. Alright guys, let's start off the program with some rapid-fire advocacy, and I guess we should start off with some of the most positive news, which is the Surgeon General, Vivek Murthy, has been fired. Yes, that's right. What we've been trying to get done for the past few months has happened. He has been asked to resign, and that is some really good news. He has always had it out for vapors everywhere, and now that he has been asked to resign, that is a very big load off our shoulders. That is a thorn that has been taken out of our side, but you know, obviously the war is not over. We got to keep fighting, and there will be many other battles to fight. Now, with that being said, we have an article here from USA Today. Let's just read a little part of it here. Today, Dr. Murthy, the leader of the U.S. Public Health Service Commission Corps, was asked to resign from his duties as Surgeon General after assisting in a smooth transition into the new Trump administration. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services said in a statement, Dr. Murthy has been relieved of his duties as Surgeon General and will continue to serve as a member of the Commission Corps. The statement continued, Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price thanks him for his dedicated service to the nation. Rear Admiral Sylvia Trent Adams, who is the current Deputy Surgeon General, will serve as the Acting Surgeon General and assume leadership of the U.S. Public Health Service Commission Corps. So what does this mean for vapors everywhere? Well, like I said, this is a big burden off of our back because Dr. Murthy obviously had an agenda based on, you know, nothing but rhetoric and misinformation, and basically just kind of pushing this message of the vapor industry trying to attract children into using nicotine and trying to get them hooked for life, etc., etc. So with that, that's kind of the same old stories that we've been hearing time and time again. If you've ever gone to any one of these meetings at state houses or anything like that, you've probably heard all this stuff a million times before about the, you know, teen use of e-cigs has tripled over the past few years, blah, 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 blah. That is all stuff that we are all used to hearing, and we know for a fact that it's not true. So moving forward, this could mean big things as far as vapors are concerned because he was basically the biggest voice, and now it's not one less thing we have to deal with. It's one less fight that we actually have to fight. So the next topic we have to talk about today is the fact that the U.S. Navy is banning vaping on ships. Now, I have a little article in front of me here from time.com, and it's pretty short and sweet and cut and dry, so I'm just going to read the whole thing real quick for you guys. It says, the U.S. Navy will ban the use of electronic cigarettes on ships following about a dozen reports of explosions and injuries. The temporary policy banning vaping on ships goes into place next month. Naval commanders said in a statement on Friday, according to the Associated Press, the commanders said the ban is intended to protect sailors and the fleet, saying overheated batteries in the electronic cigarette equipment have caused explosions that led to fires, burns, and facial disfigurement. In an 8-month stretch, 12 incidents related to vaping prevented sailors from working a combined 77 days. Some sailors who sustained injuries were restricted to light duty for 5 months, the AP reported. The Navy will make a final decision on the policy after further analysis. Vaping will still be permitted in certain areas on land. Now, I know a lot of people are up in arms about this whole debacle here, but me personally, I guess I can kind of see where they're coming from. Obviously, they've had some, you know, prior incidents leading up to this whole situation that they're in currently, and it all comes down to battery safety. Now, I know a lot of people have already talked about this fact, and I'm kind of beating a dead horse here, but I just wanted to say that obviously, you know, when things go wrong, when batteries explode and when devices fail, it's most likely going to be because of user error. Whether it be the case of putting a battery without a case in your pocket with keys and change, or mishandling or using older equipment that might be faulty, you know, those kind of situations can lead to these accidents. And yeah, I really do feel bad for whoever these, you know, incidents affected, but in the long run, I feel like vaping can still be a good thing as far as our military is concerned. I mean, we want our fighting men and women out there to be as healthy as possible, and this is one way that they can remain healthy. Obviously, I would rather have someone fighting for my country have the availability of vaping devices over combustible tobacco. Now, I can kind of see why they want to ban it, especially since the whole causing fires thing. You know, I don't want anything to affect other people from the negligence of one person. And I mean, obviously, you're dealing with, you know, explosives and warheads and, you know, ships and things that can cost millions and billions of dollars. And I would rather not see a vaping device take out a battleship. I don't know about you guys out there, but personally, I want, you know, the best press possible for our industry. And if it means a temporary ban on vaping on naval ships, then I guess we have to kind of cut our losses there. But in the long run, I really think about the health and safety of our fighting men and women out there. So I would like to see more educated personnel, I suppose, but I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about this whole thing. There's safety on both sides of how you look at it. And safety, for me personally, is like my #1 priority when it comes to vaping. So yeah, I feel like kind of a more fundamental education should be implemented. But yeah, maybe possibly find a happy medium when it comes to devices. You know, I mean, there's a lot of different vaping devices out there. If we can find a couple that might be safe, then I would say recommend, you know, those people to use those or something of that nature. But I don't know. It's a tough, tricky subject, especially when it comes to the U.S. government. So the next piece of information I have for you guys is another positive news story. This is Congressman Duncan Hunter is introducing the Cigarette Smoking Reduction and Electronic Vapor Alternatives Act of 2017. Wow. I know that is quite the mouthful. I'm going to refer to this as the Hunter Bill or the Hunter Act from here on out. But what this means for you guys out there is the fact that he's trying to repeal and replace the FDA regulations. Now, he has stated that there has to be some sort of system in place when you go to actually repeal the FDA regulations. Obviously, all the lawmakers out there are going to want to see something on the books that can easily kind of take over in place of the actual FDA regulations. But this time it's got to be a lot more sensible. Now, what he plans on doing is removing the vapor language from the definition of smoking. So that way we would be a whole different category amongst other things here that he plans on doing. So they're planning on introducing this bill sometime this week. And with the introduction of a new head of the FDA, Dr. Gottlieb, that could mean big things. Obviously, we have to wait until that decision is finalized before anything really moves forward as far as this bill is concerned. However, once we do have a new head of the FDA, it's most likely going to happen. This is most likely going to pass through. There's been a lot of support of this kind of language being introduced instead of the current FDA regulations, and it seems like Dr. Gottlieb has a kind of sympathetic ear. I know you guys have probably heard a lot about him already, but he could mean big things for the world of vaping as well. So a lot of things are happening. A lot of scientifically based you know, ideas are happening right now in the government, which is great. I really like to see that instead of the corrupt system that we had in place before. But that is something that is going to be really great for us as well. And the last little bit of news I have for you guys this week is that HR 1136 is gaining a lot of momentum. Now, for those of you that don't know, HR 1136 is the new name for the Cole-Bishop Amendment, which is now its own standalone bill. So what HR 1136 does is that it moves the predicate date up from 2007 all the way up to August 8th of 2016. And what that could mean for us as vapors is kind of like a side-by-side plan. You have, on one side, you have the Cole-Bishop Amendment, or HR 1136, and on the other side you have the Hunter Act, which could repeal and replace the current FDA regulations. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Hunter Act does get amended a few times before it passes or fails. And with that, you know, you never know what could happen to that particular bill. It might not go through as written currently. So with that, the HR 1136 is kind of like our fail-safe almost. Really, there's nothing else that can save our industry right now other than the Cole Bishop or HR 1136. So with that, we're going to need both of these to gain momentum. Obviously, like I said, the HR 1136 is still gaining momentum and it's gaining support on both sides. So you have not only Republican support, but also Democrat. So for a bill with bipartisan support, we really need this to pass. And as always, do your part, get out there, write your senators, write your congressmen, emails, letters, phone calls, do what you got to do, tweet at them, you know, all across different social media platforms. Do what you got to do, just do your part. That's all I'm asking for you guys out there. Just do something. Hold that thought. I've got one more quick thing to talk about here. A guy by the name of Trogdor 4803. So for those of you that don't know who Trogdor is, this is Trogdor. Just saying. Anyways, great name. This is a comment left on one of my videos. He says, "Great video, Nick. Your videos are great. I live in Washington, and we have a lot of issues here with the state wanting to tax wholesalers right now, and any help is better than no help. If anyone here is from Washington State, look up HB 2144 and HB 2165, potentially damaging to the shops and the industry here in Washington. Help save the small man. Keep doing what you do, Nick." So thank you, Trogdor, for commenting. Thank you for sharing. And anyone that's out there in Washington State, make sure you check out those two bills. You want to do your part and help save vaping in Washington State. All right, guys, it's time to talk about these setups that I've been using for the past couple of weeks. And yeah, I've got a lot of new stuff here, stuff that you guys haven't seen before, stuff that I'm going to be talking about in the first impressions segment. So really not going to focus too much on the hardware in this section, mostly going to be talking about the liquids that I've been vaping on. So with that, the first one I have is this setup right here. This is the Kylin RTA by Vandy Vapes on the 200S. And inside the tank right now is some of this stuff right here. This is Bluebird e-liquid. Their original flavor, amazing, amazing dessert vapes. If you like dessert vapes, make sure you check out Bluebird. They're absolutely second to none. I don't really vape a whole lot of desserty vapes, and this one I can go back to time and time again and completely be satisfied, because I don't know what they did. I swear they put a little bit of magic in the bottle, but it is so good. Such good stuff. If you guys like a good cheesecake vape, that is the one for you. That flavor profile on it is a mixed berry cheesecake with a Captain Crunch crust. So it's got a little bit of everything for every type of vapor out there. A little bit of fruit, a little bit of dessert, and a little bit of cereal as well. So top-notch flavor right there. Absolutely loving it out of the Kylin, and we'll talk about that in a little bit here. With that, moving on to my second setup, which is the Predator 228 by Wismac with the what is this? Oh, I'm going to screw it up. This is the Geek Vape Karma RDTA. Yeah, one of the ones that I did my Versus video on. This one right here. Yeah, I just kind of stuck with it. To be honest with you, I was kind of getting used to it after doing that video. I was like, yeah, I'm definitely feeling this thing. So, for update purposes, I haven't had any problems with my Wismac so far, but since Daniel DJ LSB Vapes released his video, I am being extra super cautious with this device here, and I will be sure to update you guys on any progressing situation that that incurs there. But with that, inside the tank, I've got this right here. This is Pleased as Punch by Holy Cow e-liquid. Unfortunately, it doesn't come in these nice unicorn bottles. I actually just rebottled it myself, but I decided to put the label on there. This one is a nice citrus fruit punch. It's a really super refreshing, super mellow kind of vape. It doesn't have that like super citrusiness to it. It's kind of just like this really enjoyable, almost like sangria fruits all mixed together with a little bit of like a hint of like coolness. It's got a little tiny bit of Coolada in there, and it just makes it super duper refreshing. So that is something that I've been really digging on, with a big, thank you to Alan from Holy Cow for sending that to me. But yeah, super good stuff. If you like a good, nice spring, summer, refreshing vape, definitely would recommend that one. Next up, I've got the old MVP4 with a Cleto tank on top, and it's not just any old Cleto coil in here, but again, something we'll talk about in just a second here. In the tank, I've got Blaz Mango. Blaz Mango. It's I don't know what it is about mango, but this time of year especially, it is so great. It's getting warmer. You want that nice, fruity, refreshing kind of vape, and for me, mango. Love mango. I've got this newfound passion for mango flavors, and Blaz Mango, for some reason, is like one of the only ones that I can actually vape on a daily, day in, day out basis. I know I'm a little bit biased because I am affiliated with that company, but it's so good. Seriously, if you guys get the chance, then I do recommend trying it. But yeah, let's go ahead and try that one. I've also been rocking the Perseus RDTA by Vandy Vape on the Predator, and yeah, so far, definitely digging it. Again, we'll go over that more in the first impressions here in just a second. But in the tank, I've got some of this weirdo vape. This stuff is super good. I don't know what it is about this one in particular, but creamy tropical candy, I've talked about it before. It is amazing. It is just the right amount of fruity and kind of like got that hint of candiness to it and that little bit of like cream, I guess. I don't even know. It's just so good. The combination just all comes together in one when you vape it. And it sounds a little bit weird, but honestly, it is fan-freaking-tastic. So the next one I have for you guys is the Envy Fit, which has pretty much lived in my pocket since I got it at Vape Showcase Atlanta, and this goes everywhere with me. This is my daily kind of vape. I use it everywhere, and it's just the perfect stealthy pocket vape that's got a nice good rush of nicotine and throat hit. Goes really well with coffee. I've been really liking the Pistachio RY4 and VCT. Right now I've got Screwbacco in there, and yeah, it's very, very satisfying. Like I said, it just kind of lives with me right here in my pocket, and I don't go anywhere without it. It's great for the long drive. It's great for in the morning with coffee. I mean, I vape a lot of fruity flavors, and for me, they never really go with coffee. So for me, this is my morning coffee kind of vape, and it's been working out really well for me so far. And last but not least, we have the JUUL. It's another one that just goes everywhere with me. I like to carry around a couple of pod systems just in case. If all else fails, I always have these ready to go in my pockets. And one reason I picked it up again recently is I got the Mango pods, and these are a pretty hot commodity right now. It's a little bit difficult to get your hands on some. I managed to get myself a couple of boxes, and yeah, it's definitely worth the wait. It is all it's cracked up to be. It's, all hyped up, all everywhere you go, and I could see why. The flavor is outstanding. They did a bang-up job with the mango. Like I said, mango has become one of my favorite flavor profiles recently, and I absolutely love this. This is definitely a good companion with my Blaz Mango. I can use them side by side. If I want a quick hit of nicotine, I go for the JUUL. If I want, my cloud machine, I go for the old Blaz Mango in the Cleto tank. So they just go in perfect sync with each other. I don't know what it is, but usually when I'm on my way to work, I'll puff on the JUUL. When I get to work, I'll grab the MVP4 with the Cleto tank on it, and yeah, puff away on mango. I love mango flavors, and like I said, they just did a really good job with their mango pods. So let's go ahead and have a vape off of this one. You guys know what time it is. It's beer o'clock. So I was at the beer store the other day, and I kept walking by this one particular bottle, kept just catching it in the corner of my eye, and I just had to go back and pick it up. It's this one right here. This is Breaking Bud by Knee Deep Brewing Company out of Auburn, California. It's an American IPA, and it has 50 IBUs, and it's 6.5% alcohol by volume. This is described as old school meets new school in this fresh approach to the classic IPA at 50 IBUs and 6.5% ABV. Breaking Bud features the restrained bitterness and alcohol of a classic IPA with newer tropical fruit hop flavors and aromas of mosaic. Also in the hop mix are Simcoe and CTZ, creating layers of mango, passion fruit, pine, and dank. A malt bill with a pinch of crystal malt and a hefty dose of flaked wheat keeps the beer crisp while adding flavor complexity. Now, I can kind of see what they were going for with the flavor description and the hop description there. Obviously, yeah, it kind of has that similar look to a Breaking Bad, if you will. Hopefully you guys can see that there on the label, but this one is actually an award winner. An American Beer Festival got 3rd place, so it's an award-winning beer. 2016 GABF Bronze Medal American IPA winner, so never heard of it really before. Just kind of popped up on the shelf there, you know, probably about a month or so ago, and I kept walking by it, and I just had to bring myself to actually go for it this time and share it with you guys out there. So let's go for this one here. Let's get the cap off. There we go. Cap is off. Got my glass all ready here. So, first things first, yeah, pretty hazy, kind of golden, amber color. Very nice, and got that big bubbly head on there, about 1/4 inch or so of a very white, lacy kind of head. Just kind of swirling it around. Lots and lots of little tiny bubbles right up there on top, so that's a good sign for me personally. Let's go ahead and have a sniff here. Wow, very bright on the first kind of little sniff there. On the second sniff, you definitely get more of that like dank and pine and just kind of deeper aromas, but still kind of maintains that relatively sweetness, I guess, relative sweetness throughout the whole thing. So yeah, this smells really good. Let's go ahead and have a taste. Very smooth, very smooth. It's kind of on the more tame side as far as what I'm used to. I usually go for double or triple IPAs, imperial IPAs, things of that nature. And for me, this one is just kind of an easy drinking kind of beer. Right away, I get a little bit of floral. This is a West Coast IPA trying to be an East Coast IPA, in my personal opinion. It's not quite as juicy as I was expecting. Definitely more on the danker side. It's got that kind of deep, rich, low notes of aromas and flavors kind of coming out there. But it's really good, actually. Just by, you know, sticking your nose in the glass, you can really tell a lot about the beer. And for me, that's kind of almost more important than the taste in a lot of ways. But let's have another sip. So I know it's a little bit hard to tell on the camera, but this one definitely has a very kind of slight haze to it. It's a very light golden kind of color. It looks a little bit more amber there on the camera, but to me, just showing this thing in the light, I can definitely see the kind of brightness to it itself. But yeah, really, really enjoyable so far. Definitely digging this one. Now, seeing as how it's a little bit more bitter and hoppy than I was expecting, you know, with something with 50 IBUs, which is actually pretty much on the low side, I wasn't sure what to pair it with, but now I think I've got it down. I'm going to try it out with the mango JUUL flavor here, so let's go ahead and give that a try. Yeah, in a lot of ways that works. It's not quite as bright as I was expecting. The mango definitely gets cut down by a lot of those rich kind of tones in the beer itself. So actually, I'm going to try this one more time, this time with Blaz Mango. Now that's more up to what I was expecting. A lot brighter, a lot sweeter on the inhale. The beer just kind of takes it down a notch, I guess, with the sweetness factor, but it still kind of cuts through a little bit at the end there. Very, very enjoyable, especially since you kind of get that initial sweetness from the e-liquid, and then it mixes right in with the bitterness of the beer. Then it just kind of blends together for the exhale and the kind of like lasting flavor that sits on your tongue. Very, very good stuff. I think that's a little bit better of a pairing. But however, I'm going to try it one more time with the JUUL. All right, so basically, if you want a little bit more tamer of an experience as far as the sweetness factor, then definitely go with something on the more tame side of e-liquid. As far as the JUUL goes, it's kind of a more natural flavor to the mango itself, so that just kind of matches well with the notes of the beer. As far as the Blaz Mango is concerned, it just kind of amps up on the kind of sweetness factor to it. So there's kind of two ways you could kind of play this whole scenario out. And I think both really work for me personally. So as I finish up this beer, I'm just going to check it in on Untappd. If you guys have Untappd and you want to add me, then my name is Vaping Beer Geek. I'll put a link in the description down there if you guys want to check that out as well. Also, I'm a member of Craft Beer and Vapor Clouds on Facebook. So if you want to, then you can check out that group as well. A bunch of really great guys checking in what they're drinking, what they're vaping, etc., etc. So cheers to you guys. All right, guys, so to finish up the show, we've got some first impressions for you. I got some new stuff from Vandy Vape that I want to show you, and also some pretty cool coils for the Cleto as well. So with that, the first one I'm going to show you guys today is the Kylin RTA. This is a postless RTA. It has bottom and side airflow, which is crazy. From my first building and wicking experience of this, it went flawlessly. I was kind of surprised. I've never built on a postless deck before. This is my first one, and it really went smooth. I built it with my favorite setup, which is the 7-wrap 26 and 36 gauge Nichrome 80 fuse Claptons around a 3mm bit, and with that, it performs beautifully. Came in right at the wattage, or right at the resistance that I was hoping for, 0.22 ohms. I'm vaping at 100 watts. And yeah, I've got this 6mm tank on here. It comes with two different tank options, a 3mm and a 6mm. The 6mm, I mean, I can go pretty much all day on one tank. Yeah, pretty much all day. I think I've filled this thing maybe once a day since I built it, and absolutely, absolutely loving it. This thing is not only clouds for days, but it's also amazing flavor as well. I was kind of surprised with the amount of airflow this thing actually has. I was kind of expecting it to lose a little bit of flavor. Not the case. Definitely full-on flavor with it. Pretty easy to build. It has juice flow control. I mean, what more do you want from this thing? It has a nice kind of clicky airflow. You can just move the airflow adjustment over. You have a few different settings there that you can choose from. I like using it wide open personally, and I guess the proof's in the pudding. Let's go ahead and have a vape off of this one. It's wicked really well so far as well. I was kind of worried about how fast this thing would actually wick, but it has fairly generous wicking holes at the bottom here. You can see it. The bubbles are coming up. You know, not too much of a leaking issue. I have noticed recently, pretty much today, that I've gotten a little bit of juice on the top of my mod here. Not sure if that's residue from, you know, just the liquid condensing or what, but I have noticed a little bit of liquid coming out the airflow holes. Could be my own fault as well, you know, with wicking this thing. I try my best, but sometimes it doesn't work out quite the way I was expecting it to, but with that, obviously, there's a lot more testing to go into this one here, and I will get back to you guys with my full review in probably about a week or so. The next product we're going to be taking a look at is the Perseus RDTA by Vandy Vape, and this one, as I mentioned before, kind of has a learning curve to it. It's a little bit funky to get used to this one, but once you get it down, it's like cake. It's really easy to use. It's got this kind of cool little locking system where you rotate the little top cap section around, and that locks it in place. So you can't just take off your top cap freely. You actually have to unlock it first, which is kind of nifty. It's kind of neat. It reduces the chamber a little bit, which I don't really mind because usually with a reduced chamber you get more flavor. And with this one here, you have bottom airflow. That is one really cool thing I like about it. The bottom airflow is very similar to the Kennedy. It's got these big block posts in the middle here. The over-under thing, I definitely agree with Grim Green. He has stated that he's not a huge fan of the center post being higher than the outer post. Obviously, with his recoil RDA, he did the opposite of that, having the outer outer post being higher and having you kind of build it a little bit differently. And yeah, I can definitely see why that's the case, especially with this one here, being that your wick tails, they have to go pretty much straight down. When you have that last wrap going underneath the bottom and connecting kind of over to the side like that, the wire itself tends to get in the way a little bit more. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if that would be really a con necessarily for me. It's just kind of almost something that's a little bit more annoying when you go to wick this thing. But all in all, so far, I'm very happy with the flavor that it produces, the vapor that it produces. The one thing that's gotten to me so far is how you fill it. It's got this little tiny juice channel right over here on the side, which of course, again, I will go over all of this in the full review. However, the only annoying factor for me so far is how you actually fill this device. Getting the cap on straight and everything is a bit of an issue as well. I kind of have to mess around with it a little bit and just squish it down and then turn it over and then open up the airflow section. You tend to get a little bit of juice residue kind of around the outside there. So a few minor annoyances more than anything. The top cap, actually, it's funny enough, the top cap totally reminds me of the Patriot RDA from back in the day, a couple of years ago. It totally has that kind of throwback feel to it. But yeah, so far, definitely digging on this one. I really like the fact that these are Kennedy/Goon compatible with drip tips. I have quite a few Kennedy tips kicking around here, and I will be sure to get even more of them now that I have 3 Vandy Vape products that use the same tip. So with that, I think that is very much an ingenious design as far as that's concerned. But yeah, so far, really digging this thing. Let's go ahead and have a vape. And the last thing we have to take a look at today is these Monster Vape coils. Not sure if you guys have seen these yet, but these are Monster Vape V3 Raptor coils for Cleto. And I was curious from the time that these showed up at the vape shop that I work at, Voltage Vape, because I haven't seen anything come out for the Cleto in quite some time to improve its performance. So these claim to be rated between 30 to 200 watts, and that's a pretty substantial claim if you ask me. They have organic cotton. It says 18 karat gold plated, which I'm pretty sure that's the actual bottom connector piece. That is the only gold part that I could see. Otherwise, the coils themselves are kind of like this, almost like a gunmetal color. It's pretty cool. They're definitely cool looking coils. That is a fact right there, but I've got one loaded up, primed, ready to go in my Cleto right now. Let's just go ahead and have a quick vape on this one. So right now I'm vaping at a very comfortable 85 watts, which I was a little bit skeptical about turning this thing up when I first started using it, but I went to 40 watts, 40 watts wasn't doing it for me. I went to 60 watts, still wasn't really that impressive. 85 watts seems to be a pretty good sweet spot. I'm going to quickly turn it up to 100 real quick, which is the maximum for the MVP4, and we're just going to try it out at 100 watts. So I gotta say, right off the bat, no burnt taste, no burn hits. I could probably chain vape this thing at 100 watts and it's gonna be just fine. Of course, I will have to test that out a little bit further, but with that, it's vaping just fine at 100 watts, so I'm pretty impressed so far with these coils. They don't seem to sizzle very long or at all as far as I'm concerned. Doesn't sound like there's any sort of dryness whatsoever to the coil, and yeah, I'm just really impressed. I'm kind of blown away. Definitely bringing new life to my Cleto tank, and I look forward to trying these things out at even higher wattages. So yeah, that's the Monster Vape V3 Raptor coils. Yeah, so far, very impressed. Of course, I'll have links to all of these products in the description below if you guys want to check them out for yourself. So real quick, before we end the episode, I do have to give a couple of quick shout outs for the people that support me. First and foremost, vape mats. If you guys want to get a vape mat for yourself, make sure you use the coupon code DailyVapeTV for 15% off anything on the site. Anything at all that you want to get on vapemats.com, you can get 15% off using my coupon code, which will of course be down there in the description below. Next up, we have JUUL. I am a PAX affiliate, so if you guys want to pick up a JUUL or some pods or anything else, then make sure you click on my link right down there in the description below. It will help me out greatly, and I do thank you guys for that. Next up, we have Native Wicks. They give me cotton for my Fresh Build Friday videos, so I do have to give them a huge shout out as well. native wicks cotton, what more can I say? It's great stuff. Make sure you pick yourself up some today. And last but not least, we have Vape Finder. Vape Finder is an app available on the Google Play Store as well as the App Store. That is for vapors over there in the UK and Europe. They're also expanding over here to the US as well. It's a great place to find deals and vape shops near you, as well as reviews from people such as myself and Mr. Grim Green as well. So make sure if you're over there in the UK or Europe, check out the Vape Finder app. It will be a very handy guide for you guys as well. So there you go. So that about does it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. Don't forget you can also click that little notification bell right next to the subscribe button if you want to be alerted whenever I upload videos. Also, leave me some comments in the box below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of the topics that we talked about in today's episode. Also, check out the Advocacy and my social media links in the description below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and as always, vape on!